am Leanne Velky, owner of Leanne Velky Inc., and I build reg site.
What does it mean to build a reg site? Because it sounds like you're playing it down, it sounds like than that.
Okay, I actually love that you use the word complex because completion is actually what I love to do the most. And the way I actually explained this last night was I picture registration like a ball of wires. And it's my job to untangle all those wires and make them all straight and work and hook up to where they need to go. So a smooth and applicable registration experience for all of our attendees.
What does a smooth registration for an attendee look like though? Like, because there's so many different ways to register people out there, and then there's like registering, like in your head, what are like the building blocks of a good registration experience for an attendee?
I have a sticky note that is personalized attendee journeys. It sits right above my desk to remind me always that it's really about breaking down who is going to be at your event and tell me about your attendees, tell me about your agenda, tell me what's happening at your event, and our registration process to account for all of those different variables so that we don't have, VIP attendees and all these crazy questions that we don't actually really need from them. We can maybe get them through faster, or we are getting, certain information from sponsors that we need, if you're a first-time attendee, so that we can curate your experience on site better for the people that are showing up. So it's really about like digging in and knowing who your registrants are, who your attendees are, and then removing as much friction as we can while also kind of layering in useful attendee experience better.
So what are some of those kind of pitfalls organizers fall into when it comes to like registration questions, the thing that everybody asks but we don't really need to ask it because it never gets in an effective way either before, during, or after the show?
I don't know if there's one that like everybody asks, right? There's not like a one size fits all to anything that has to do with event registration. But my feeling is like if we're not going to do something with that question, then don't ask it. But if that question is valuable to the attendee experience, then certainly ask the question, but have a purpose for why you're asking the question. If you're not going to do anything with it, don't ask it. Don't go in and ask a million extra questions just because you think it would be good to have this information. But if you're going to ask someone if they've attended your event before, or if they're a first-time attendee, but then you're not going to have like a first-timers meetup or any curated content or any like email communication with them to prep them for the event filtered off of that question, then why are you asking that question? So let's focus on really diving in and being thoughtful and being strategic about what we're asking and why, and there should always be a purpose to everything that we're asking.
Some in this industry out there that feel that we should ask the least amount of questions, in some cases name and email, and then try and capture maybe other information through other means. What's your opinion on that kind of strategy?
I think name and email works sometimes. If you have a webinar and that's all you need and you can track IP address and you can use location that way, fine. But for a conference where you're actually like planning hotel, using that data, you're using that registration information, my feeling is after they've gone through registration, never gonna get 100% participation. I'm not opposed to later. And I think that for it to work, again, it needs to be really well thought out, planned out, and strategic. And a lot of times we don't have the time, dedication, and the resources to be as thoughtful as we really have to be to get all of that information later. So the question rolls down to what do I need a participation on, and then what could I live with a lower participation percentage on, right? So you don't need to ask, I always go to like t-shirt size, even though we don't give out t-shirts anymore, but like maybe you don't care if 100% of your people answer the size. You're like, fine, you just don't get a t-shirt. We can live without that. But I have this other very specific thing that I do need to answer to my stakeholders, or I need this information. I am going to do a first timers meetup. I need to know if you're a first timer so I can be more thoughtful to you as an attendee. Those are things like you're not going to get those answers after they've registered. So really be thoughtful and strategic about it if you're going to go that route.
We are currently at HubSpot's Inbound in Boston.
Yes, we are.
What were your opinions on their registration process? What did you like? And what would you change if you were the one building that registration out?
Oh, that's an unfair question because I don't remember the process.
So it wasn't a meaningful one.
Maybe that's a good thing, right? I didn't have any strong feelings. Here's the thing. I don't mind, again, going back to a personalized attendee journey or a personalized attendee experience. I don't mind taking minutes to fill out a registration form and answering all of your questions as long as I feel like they didn't get used or I have a way of answering a certain question. So I feel like there's a lot of registration forms out there, a lot of reg processes that we go through. You're asking me my annual spend on meetings with no way to opt out of the answer. I have to so if you're forcing me to put something in your question, then you're gonna get bad data out of me because I'm just filling in an answer to fill it in. So I feel like I remember this reg process I don't remember being like bothered by the process because I actually did feel like it was a whole process and I don't have any strong feelings, so it must not have been. The only thing I did have a problem with, and I actually gave them the feedback, was the registration part apparently doesn't talk to the marketing. And so when it was time to like log back in to look at agendas or the sessions and stuff, I had to go back to my original confirmation email to get my like confirmation, my ticket number. They didn't merge that into my future communications, ones where I had to specifically get back into my registration. And that I think is a miss, but it's because the systems don't talk to each other and there's like no way to get that information over. But I'm always path of least resistance, make it easy for people to get back in as much as you can and give them everything they need to succeed and have it right at their fingertips always.
So that's really interesting to me because I didn't actually register for the event, but I didn't go through a registration flow. So I didn't have that experience. Surprising, especially for an organization like HubSpot, where they're very much in that ecosystem of data being connected throughout the entire life cycle of their customer and stuff. So maybe that's more of an event technology thing than a HubSpot thing. Maybe there's other elements that's something they would probably aspire to.
Yeah, I mean the feedback or the response was that the systems don't talk to each other, so they literally like couldn't get that over, but they did thank me for telling them or for like giving them. They handled it beautifully. I'll give them a lot of credit for that. It's hard to be on the reg team and the customer service team, and I know that because I've done it. So I give them credit for how they handled my feedback.
So that brings one of my final questions then. You know, we have, in the event sphere, we have that then are not connected or speaking to event apps and platforms. It boggles my mind that I'm having to complete the same information, event app and platform that I've already pre-populated in registration. Why not just get somebody to register straight in the app and just have that as an experience?
I don't know, you tell me, because it hasn't been built yet. We need to build it. That would be smart to just launch the app, make it just a whole mobile experience. I feel like that's a little bit of where some of the companies just went with like progressive web apps instead of like native apps, so they could just build it the one time. It will just adjust with you, so then you don't have to be duplicating the work. But it's definitely not, I don't think it's the norm, so.